Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Science Saturday here on the beautiful side virtual location. Today, I'm really excited. We have the StormStrong program. We have Howard and Allie, and they're going to be teaching us about mangroves and storm surge and how to be prepared for hurricane. All right, guys, I'm Anya. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Allie Durdall. I work with Howard Forbes here on the USVI StormStrong program, which is a kind of community-based program, and we're really trying to help people here in the Virgin Islands, especially our Virgin Islands youth, how to be better prepared and more resilient during storms. And normally we would do this through in-person workshops, which we did last year to great success, which was super fun. We had an awesome group of people come through. But unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we haven't been able to do those in-person workshops. Today, we're going to
surge is. So basically it's the abnormal rise of water generated by a storm. And so since this is a StormStrong program, this is relevant. This is what we're going to be talking about today, storm surge. So we have a quick little demonstration where we're going to show you guys exactly how storm surge operates. So here we're going to imagine this is our waterfront, beachfront property, really nice coastal real estate. So this is our beach. Here we have some marine animals inside depicting our seascape. So basically Allie is going to use this,
very sophisticated tool.
yeah, that
Right.
don't yet have a name for.
So this essentially is the wind, right? So storm surge is created almost entirely in part by the wind that comes along with the storm, right? So a little bit of it has to do with the pressure systems that come with storms, but almost all of it comes with the wind. So this guy is our wind, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking that wind and I'm going to apply it to the ocean. And this activity is something that you guys, if you have these materials at home, if you have a storage container and a lid, you can collect some sand. You can do this for yourself and try it out. We really encourage you to do that, but also if you want to just follow along with us as we play around with it, that's awesome. So here we go. We've got some wind. We're creating some wind here. And you can see these waves breaking along the shoreline. And storm surge is different from normal waves. It's that extra amount of energy, of wind, that creates these larger waves upon the shore. So you can see them breaking over the top of our beach here and heading back onto the land area.
Gasp.
Yep. And one of the things you really want to pay attention to is this area of the shoreline right here. That's a thing we call erosion. So as the water is starting to push backwards, it's taking some of that sand back out to the ocean and diminishing that shoreline. And so we want to make sure we do what we can, what's necessary to keep the shoreline intact. And so as Allie's demonstrating here, you can see the more intense the waves, the more of that storm surge, the more of that negative effect of the erosion that you're beginning to see. Did you want to jump in now to talking about the green infrastructure?
Well, I think there are a couple other things about storm surge that we can highlight too. And one of them is that storm surge, although it depends on the size of the storm and the impacts of the storm, another important thing to keep in mind is the direction that the storm is coming when it hits your area. So if the storm is coming and the largest amount of energy is parallel to your area, your waves are going to be going in this direction. And so this can happen, you know, when a storm is coming in a different direction towards our island. And what you can see here is that most of that wave energy is kind of staying out in the ocean, and only some of it is echoing back onto our shoreline. So there's a lot of different factors that go in to storm surge and the level of storm surge that we experience. And one other thing that I think that we should kind of explain to you guys is, before we add some more complexities into the system, the way that storm surge energy dissipates on the island is dependent upon like the things that are in your coastline. So when you take a careful look at the waves that we're creating, and you see this in the ocean all the time too, just with regular waves, the waves offshore might not appear very large, but when they get near shore, they start to break and they get bigger. And the reason for that is because the energy of the waves, which are kind of located in the shallower area of the ocean, as they get closer to the shore, that energy starts to hit the stuff that's around it, and that causes the breaking of the wave. So you want to keep that kind of idea of the energy moving from the far out ocean into the near shore in mind as we start to think about things that we might find in our near shore area. So
now do we get to add stuff?
yeah, we need to add stuff.
Howard's really excited to play with these toys. We want to put the mangroves
Yeah.
in.
So you guys might be looking at this and thinking like, this does not look like St. Thomas, right? So we don't, or I mean any Virgin Island, we don't have sandy beaches all across our shorelines. We have a bunch of different complexities. So Howard, I think you can start adding some of those in. Let's kind of revamp our sand here because we're a little eroded.
We call this shoreline reconstruction.
So we have a bunch of different complexities in our shoreline, and a good example of this is on St. Thomas. We got like the St. Thomas East End Reserve, so there's a bunch of offshore, kind of keys and barriers and lagoons, and also, importantly, lots of mangroves and seagrass beds and other things in this area. So let's start adding some of those in.
Yeah, so we're going to use this miniature toy tree to depict our mangroves. So these are coastal trees. They grow along the shoreline. They tolerate salty water environments. And these trees are absolutely phenomenal. I think we should rechange their name to the Tree of Life because they support life. These trees have these root systems that allow for juvenile fish to seek shelter in those roots, but they also do a good job of breaking a lot of that wave energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to plop some of these wonderful mangroves carefully along our shoreline right here. So we're going to pretend this is at the St. Thomas East End Reserves, or STAIR, like Ali mentioned, where there's a lot of mangroves along the shoreline. And these are amazing because what they do is they're that first line of defense. So if there's incoming wave energy, they're going to take most of that energy. What we also have along our shoreline, rocks. So we have rocks along our shoreline. You can also think of these maybe as corals. So corals also do a good job of breaking wave energy. And so we have a lot of them scattered, deep water corals, but mostly shallow water corals, which are going to be breaking some of that wave energy. I don't know if you want to put the seagrass.
Sure.
So we have a lot of different things that are affecting our shoreline. So we have rocks, we have corals, we have seagrass, and then we have our mangroves.
Where he likes to be.
And then we're going to plot the real estate.
Yeah.
So we're going to put our little houses. I think a tractor would be nice. And one more for good measure. Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to come back in with our wind, and I want you guys to remember how the water was crashing upon the shore when nothing was there, and then compare that to what you're going to see now as I'm creating waves.
Ooh.
And look carefully along the mangrove shoreline. You can see in the gap area around the edge, even like right here where we don't have mangroves, look how much further that wave is going back up onto the shore compared to the area right next to it that has the mangroves in front of it. So what's really happening here is that the energy of the storm surge, as it's coming in contact with these near shore environments, we call them green infrastructure, or mangroves, or seagrass, they're breaking up the energy of these waves, and they're converting it into smaller waves. They're taking the hit for our coastal community behind us.
So in this process, these trees, they're going to get some damage, but the really important thing is what's behind them is going to be protected. And so you can consider this as your home. You don't want your home to be underwater. So having these trees, these rocky shorelines, the seagrass nearby, that's going to help to protect and minimize the amount of damage that you can potentially see at your home because of storm surge.
Now, guys, what do you think would happen if we lost one of these parts of the environment? So what if we didn't have coral, but we did have mangroves?
Well, we can take it out of the box and we can take a look if you want.
Yes.
But really, I think that all these things are working together. They're all a part of this kind of initial defense on our coastline. So as soon as you take out one of these key players, the effect on the other players is going to be increased, right?
So right now you guys are playing the part of evil developers, taking all the coral off the shoreline and leaving
Right. And
the
we
mangroves to
dredged the
defend.
seagrass.
Dredge the seagrass, cut out the coral.
We do not support that in any way.
We don't. I said evil developers. There are developers.
All right, so here we go, making waves. I'm trying hard to make the same size waves. It's a little tricky to be consistent, but
You can see that more of that water is coming behind the mangrove shoreline now. Having the benefit of the corals, the rocks, really work together in unison to suppress or